Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo have been confirmed as AlphaTauri drivers for 2024, which means it's Liam Lawson who unfortunately will miss out and officially will spend the year on the sidelines as the test and reserve driver for both AlphaTauri and also Red Bull as well. I wanted to quickly kind of talk about this recent news. This was the last kind of really big announcement in the driver market. There is still a seat technically available at Williams, which is the last kind of, little seat to fill in terms of the 2024 puzzle, but yeah, I think this was the big one that we were all waiting for in terms of what was going to happen with the AlphaTauri and also Red Bull seat as well. But yeah, now we have our answer for 2024. Now, yeah, I wanted to talk about this. I have just finished watching qualifying for the Japanese Grand Prix, so this is going to be a bit of a leaner edit, more of a podcast style video because yeah, it's been a big topic actually the past couple of months, and unfortunately, this was one of those situations where, in my opinion, all three drivers, Yuki Tsunoda, Daniel Ricciardo, and Liam Lawson, since he came in from Zandvoort onwards, all three of them genuinely deserved, those seats in 2024. And unfortunately, it was one of those classic, 3-2 situations, and Liam is the one that has missed out. So in this video, I'm going to quickly talk about why it was that Tsunoda and Ricciardo were the ones to get the seat, and why potentially, it was Liam Lawson that missed out, despite having a really, really impressive, Formula 1 debut the past kind of, 3 races after scoring his first points in Singapore as well with that P9 finish. So let's first of all get into AlphaTauri's 2024 driver lineup. Now, in terms of Yuki Tsunoda, I think he was one of those drivers where I genuinely think that he has really progressed really nicely. He's now got the experience and the speed, so I do think there was kind of an element of stability that the team kind of really liked with him. But the thing that it actually came down to was the support by Honda. Now, I have always not been kind of 100% clear of how much support he actually gets, and it's not just, obviously Honda are kind of no longer really Red Bull's, power unit manufacturer. They are now, Red Bull have their own power unit. That's why, they're Red Bull powertrains, and Honda have that Aston Martin, of course, a deal from 2026 onwards. But Yuki Tsunoda is not, necessarily a Red Bull young driver. He's more of a Honda protege than anything else, and he actually gets financial kind of support and financial backing from Honda. So, from all of the reports that I read, of course the team would have wanted to keep Yuki, but with with an option like Liam on the sidelines as well, it was that backing, financial backing from Honda that really kind of sealed the deal for Yuki. Of course, he's a massively liked kind of member of the team. He's, again, done a really good job to progress this season, but without that Honda backing, potentially, that kind of potentially would have kind of shifted the balance more towards Liam and Ricciardo potentially as well. So yeah, it was a combination when it comes to Yuki in terms of experience, in terms of development, in terms of what he's already shown, scoring points for the team, and also that financial backing from Honda as well. So it all comes into it. In terms of Daniel Ricciardo, I mean, also a little bit from the financial side as well, but from a very different side. We all know that Ricciardo is one of the most popular drivers on the grid. There is no doubt about it. And the commercial benefit that, AlphaTauri gain by having Daniel Ricciardo as one of their drivers, it's hard for us fans to really kind of quantify, but I'm sure, they notice the amount of kind of engagement and even just the sales, I suppose, that AlphaTauri potentially have had, through their clothing line or even all of the other sponsors as well since, Nick de Vries left and Daniel Ricciardo has come into the team. So yeah, there was a massive financial incentive for, to keep Ricciardo. And as far as, the performance side of it, I think he really proved to the team, even in those kind of, 2 cameo appearances. It's hard to really count Zandvoort as a race for Ricciardo, but, just Hungary and Spa alone, all of this kind of evidence is enough to give Red Bull kind of the confidence that Daniel Ricciardo is potentially a candidate for the 2025 seat, and I think that's more than anything why they have kept him on for 2024. Christian Horner on Sky Sports was very open to admit that Sergio Perez is out of contract for 2025. And I don't think Yuki really is, and I've said this before on my channel, I don't think Yuki is a future Red Bull driver. I don't think Helmut Marko or Christian Horner really see Yuki at Red Bull. I think it's more that Honda connection and also the money that, comes along with Yuki a little bit as well. They are very clearly lining up Daniel Ricciardo. They had the confidence even after 2 races that they're still going to keep him for next season. And so again, even though he has, he didn't get a chance to score points, he never had a chance, let's not forget, to drive this kind of brand new upgraded AlphaTauri that they brought in Monza, kind of around Monza, Singapore time. But it was enough, those 2 races and the history that he has with that team and all of the work that he's done, this year for AlphaTauri and Red Bull. It was enough performance-wise to kind of seal the deal for Red Bull that they were definitely going to have Daniel Ricciardo. And so all of those factors, I think that's why Liam, more than anything else, missed out. on a performance level, Liam Lawson has had a fantastic F1 debut. I mean, you really couldn't have asked for more. Even, again, Christian Horner on that same Sky Sports interview, he basically admitted that Liam actually kind of surprised Red Bull themselves. You know, he did give them a massive headache for 2024, and it was a conversation. There was a genuine, conversation in terms of which of those two drivers, or which of those three drivers will get those two seats. But yeah, when it comes down to it, experience was massive. You know, the commercial value and just the performance in general, that is why both Tsunoda and also Ricciardo got the seats for 2024. And ultimately, when it comes to Liam Lawson, even though the performance is there, because we have seen, he's already kind of on Yuki's level. He was really impressive in Singapore, in Monza as well, and then he's carried that over into Suzuka with just missing out on Q3 in qualifying just now. So yeah, he has just hit the ground running in the way that other rookies have not. So yeah, he's done a fantastic job. But with Liam Lawson, even though you get the performance that perhaps you would get from a Yuki Tsunoda or a Daniel Ricciardo, you don't get the commercial value. He doesn't have that kind of Honda backing that Yuki does. And as popular of a guy as he is nowhere near the same name as Daniel Ricciardo. So it's a tough world, isn't it? It is a very tough world in Formula One. Performance and money, that commercial value, it really does mean a lot. And I think at the end of the day, the team they felt that with Ricciardo and Tsunoda, they had the best balance of, performance, commercial value, and just in terms of experience as well. And I think the team see Liam Lawson as kind of like the long-term future for that team, because again, with Honda kind of having that power unit connection with that Aston Martin for 2026, not only do I not think that Yuki Tsunoda is a future Red Bull driver, or even perceived by Christian Horner and Helmut Marko as even a candidate for 2025, but I do think that they see Liam Lawson as kind of the long-term kind of second driver if Ricciardo also doesn't get that seat. So yeah, it's a very kind of different, it's a very difficult balancing act in terms of who to take. But yes, it means that Ricciardo and Tsunoda are going to be the drivers for 2024. Now, in terms of what this means for Liam Lawson, again, I think like all of us, I really do feel sorry for Liam. There's nothing more he could have done. The way he hit the ground running, even in Zandvoort, I was massively impressed. If you remember, I did a video on my channel. Keep in mind, that was almost like a little half weekend for him. He jumped in on the Saturday, just did a really professional job. Didn't look, keep in mind, the guy had never really driven the car. So yeah, the way to just come in, especially in those difficult circumstances, very difficult track, very difficult conditions as well. He kept it on the island. He kept it very respectable. And then I think Monza was his first, proper race, and to just finish outside of the points and just look, he basically looked like, if you didn't realize that Liam Lawson had just made his Formula 1 debut, you could have fooled anyone. He looked like a driver that had been there for years, if anything. So yeah, Liam did a fantastic job in Monza, and then Singapore was just stringing everything together. The car upgraded a little bit. He had a really good qualifying as well, out-qualified Yuki, got into Q3, and then once again, he just kept his nose clean. He's a very, I think he's a very kind of mature driver, which is really important. And yeah, in the end, P9, the highest, actually, the team's highest finish of the season in just his third ever race, or really his second, if we're being honest. So yeah, there's nothing more that Liam Lawson could have done. And I think Christian Horner kind of also tried to emphasize that in terms of, it's nothing to do with the performance side. It's just that with Liam, there's a much bigger future. They can kind of keep him for a few years. It doesn't just have to be that he has to get into the Formula 1 team now or it's over. So yeah, they're going to do a lot more development work with him. Again, they're going to give him all of that time in 2024 with both Red Bull and AlphaTauri. But there is no doubt, and Liam Lawson said this himself in Singapore, that he wants to be in Formula 1. He wants to be in a Formula 1, race seat. And unfortunately, there's only one left for 2024, and that is at Williams. Now, again, the significance of me recording this right after Suzuka, right after qualifying at Suzuka, once again, Logan Sargent had, made a mistake, binned it into the barrier. Very big crash, actually, but he managed to jump out quite quickly, which is good. But it's very difficult with Logan, because I think, I was one of those that was very critical on him quite quickly, and I got a lot of flack for it in the comments. I read all your criticisms, guys, don't worry, and I got a lot of flack for, the fact that I was very critical on him quite quickly. And, as I said, around kind of Spa time, he's under real pressure. And I think, actually, even just forgetting the fact that, another rookie in Oscar Piastri is on the front row for tomorrow's race, forget about the fact that, Piastri is a rookie. I think the fact that Lawson has come in and did such a good job, just hit the ground running with, no testing really in a really difficult situation. Yes, the car did improve, which kind of helped him, but the Williams is also not a bad car. I mean, look at what Alex Albon is doing, and I'm not saying that, Logan Sargeant needs to be on kind of Albon's level every single race, but I think with Lawson coming in and doing a good as job as he has, it kind of raised the bar and raised the expectations, which of course raised the pressure even more on Logan Sargeant. And again, he crashed out in Singapore, he's crashed out in qualifying at Suzuka, and it makes the case for Williams keeping him even more difficult. Now, Williams are in a very tricky situation because although I do think that they would take Liam Lawson for 2024, there is no doubt that they would want him for more than one season. They would want a 2 or maybe even 3-year commitment, exactly the same way that they wanted with Russell as well. I mean, let's not forget that when George actually joined Williams in 2019, although he was a Mercedes junior, Williams signed him on for, I think it was a 2-year deal, and then potentially there was like a +1 option that they ended up extending on for 2021, and I think they would want exactly the same with Liam Lawson. Now, that would just not work out for Red Bull, because Christian Horner again has said, in that Sky interview that he actually talked about it a little bit. He said, yes, they would put him there, but Williams would not accept a 1-year deal. And that clearly indicates that they are only planning to kind of keep him on the sidelines for 1 year, because if things kind of pan out the way we think they're going to pan out, and, Sergio Perez leaves Red Bull in 2025, and then Daniel Ricciardo goes from AlphaTauri to Red Bull, that leaves one seat at AlphaTauri for 2025. And so I think that's where they'd want to put, that's where Lawson would come into Formula One, still alongside Yuki potentially for 2025. And so that's why Red Bull would not be kind of comfortable loaning out Liam for more than one season, and that just doesn't work for Williams, because when you also think about it, if they do take Lawson for just one season and then hand him back to AlphaTauri for 2025, the difficult thing about that situation is that they would be developing another team's junior to then, fight against them for 2025. So yes, they would get kind of one season of Liam Lawson, and, that would be an amazing partnership, I think, a really exciting kind of young partnership with Albon and Lawson. But then that would bite them back in the, that would bite them in the backside in 2025, because then Lawson would be racing against them for AlphaTauri. And so that is a genuine problem, because if you can't keep a driver for the future, then what's the point of developing another team's junior, even if he's going to provide you results in the short term? So it's going to be one of those kind of tricky situations for Williams where, unless they do kind of, bite the bullet and only take Liam Lawson and accept kind of Red Bull's offer of only taking Liam for 1 year, which I don't think that they would. And I think that they will, kind of choose to keep Logan Sargeant, because, again, the fact that he is their own junior driver, whether pride is going to come into it for Williams, or if it's just going to be purely about the performance, that's going to be quite interesting as well, because I do think that Williams like the fact that Logan is their own junior driver, because for so long they've had to, use drivers that are affiliated with Mercedes or Red Bull, and I do think it means a lot for the team when it's your own Williams young driver that you have developed and that you've carried into Formula One. But at what point does all of the points that Logan Sargeant isn't scoring kind of become untenable? At what point does this position, at what point do they kind of think that, yes, he's going to improve next year, but that ceiling is just not going to be good enough to kind of really score us the points that we need? And keep in mind, every single place in the Constructors' Championship in Formula One is worth, over $12 million. I mean, it's a huge amount of money that they're potentially leaving on the table by leaving their own junior driver, just because, he is their own driver. So, yeah, it's going to be a very interesting situation. I don't think everything is over for both Logan Sargeant and Liam Lawson. If I were to bet now, I do think that Liam Lawson is going to probably be on the sidelines. I don't see how Red Bull are going to, or don't see how Williams are going to accept only having him for one season and then handing him back to Red Bull in 2025. But listen, never say never. Liam Lawson is in the car right now. He is showing Williams exactly what they're missing out on for next season. And unfortunately, Logan Sargeant is showing Williams that he's just not doing a good enough job. So anyway, that is again one of the last pieces of the 2024 driver market. Just one more seat left. Let me know all of your thoughts about AlphaTauri keeping both Ricciardo and Tsunoda for 2024, leaving Lawson on the sidelines as a test and reserve driver, and also who do you think is going to be in that Williams for 2024 as well. Anyway, there you have it. If you did enjoy this video, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That would be massively appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one.